Hello again, everybody. Zack Attack is here with my WWE Raw review for tonight. This President's Day, Monday, February the 16th, 2015. Of course, the final Raw before Fastlane in Orlando, Florida tonight. Tonight's Raw, it was an interesting one, heading towards Fastlane. Yeah, a couple decent matches in there, a couple promos from Bray Wyatt, new matches added for Fastlane. And the main event for Fastlane just got more interesting as the ending of Raw was a great ending to end Raw tonight with a big fight that ended Raw tonight between our two main event competitors at Fastlane. Great way to end Raw with that. Great way to hype up the pay-per-view, of course, for free for new subscribers to the network this month. So there you go. Some intriguing things happen in Raw. Decent things happen. Let's kick off Raw with John Cena coming out to confront Rusev. Of course, these two will face off for the U.S. Championship on Sunday. Now, if John Cena was facing Rusev for a non-title match and were to defeat Rusev, I would have been more comfortable with Cena being the guy to beat Rusev. I've been going back and forth with my reviews about the pros and cons of Cena beating Rusev. Now, it kind of makes common sense to have the most common denominator guy, like the most obvious guy to beat Rusev is Superman. Super Cena. But in my humble opinion, I think Rusev should lose to somebody else for two reasons. One, because you see a lot of guys who had so much momentum lose to Cena and lose their push. Two of those guys are finally getting back to footing. Damian Sandow, which I'll get to, and his continuing deterioration of his relationship with Miz and Bray Wyatt. We'll get to in a second with his promos, considering probably teasing his match against Taker and Mania. And another thing, I would like somebody else to beat Rusev. Like Ryback. I've been wanting Ryback to face Rusev for the U.S. Championship. I don't know that will ever happen. Ever after Ryback got storyline fired, his push has got diminished a little bit. So now we got John Cena against Rusev. I think Cena should at least lose by DQ, so we can have Rusev still U.S. Champion against Ryback. I also don't want Cena to win at all, whether it's defeat Rusev for the first time, especially now, like I said, if it's non-title, fine, but it's for the title. So Cena came out. It didn't look like, I was trying to look at his eye, because his eye was pretty bad last week, because you saw the attack from Rusev last week, and Cena wanted to retaliate after Rusev beat him down last week at the entrance ramp. So Cena came out saying that, Lana, this situation, it's over between you and I. The talking's over. I want a piece of you now, boy. So here comes Rusev with Lana in tow. Talking about Cena being the past. And that Rusev will crush you. And Cena, Cody little jokes and all, but he still was like, Rusev, I want a piece of you, boy. Then I'm going to kick your ass right now. And after Rusev and Lana both made fun of Cena by doing that, you can't see me, Cena came out to retaliate against Rusev at the ramp, beating him down like he did last week. But unlike last week when Rusev got the upper hand, Cena waved Rusev, gave him a little piece of his own medicine, ramming him against the screen, with Cena looking all vicious. And I think it'd be a decent match, though. Rusev's getting a big push, and he's playing his character off pretty well. And I think Rusev has been a decent and a great heel, should I say. He and Lana's got so much heat on him. And it only makes sense, like I said, it makes common sense for Cena to win. Obvious choice to be the first guy to beat Rusev, but I still think it's going to be a mistake, especially if it's for the title. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens with Cena and Rusev this Sunday. Whether it'll be a Cena win or a Rusev DQ to keep us on the winning streak going and to lose to Ryback and Mania. Speaking of Fastlane matches I thought may take place at Mania, Dean Ambrose was once again egging on Bad News Barrett to give him a title shot at Fastlane for the IC Championship. He pinned him a few weeks ago, and last week he wanted to call out Bad News Barrett, but Bad News Barrett delivered his own bad news to Dean Ambrose through the BNZ, the Bad News Zone. So then we saw, right before Dean's match against Luke Harper, a former IC champion, Dean Ambrose had a pre-taped video, like a news guy. Like, this just in. Dean Ambrose is ready to face off against Luke Harper. And knows as a contract for Bad News Barrett to sign later on this evening. And we shall see later on. Will BNB sign that contract or not? We'll see how that went later on. So we had Bad News Barrett's foil, Dean Ambrose, taking on Luke Harper. Decent fun match. Harper with his big strength against Dean's unorthodox style with the lunatic fringe and all that stuff. Because Harper came in with the power, because he has the power. And Dean had the speed. Power won out for the early half of the matchup as Luke Harper dominated with his big classic moves, trying to nail that big clothesline. But then Ambrose played a little dirty, biting him to get back to the advantage, doing some big elbows. Going for the DDT, then landing an elbow. And trying to regain momentum, went back with his big clothesline move. Ducking up from the clothesline, whipping up against the rope, nailing Harper back, nailing the dirty deeds. And 1-2-3 victory for Dean Ambrose, sending a message, another message, should I say, to B&B, Bad News Barrett, to once again egg him on to take on him for the IC Championship. So there you go. On to our next scenario. Throughout the evening, we see these Bray Wyatt promos about, say, I'm not gonna, like, all these like creepy, cryptic promos. Now, I think they're being aimed towards Undertaker. You saw the third promo. You saw Bray Wyatt hammering what looked like a casket. Kind of a motion for Undertaker. It's rumored for the last couple weeks about Bray Wyatt wrestling Undertaker. But Undertaker will be wrestling again despite him looking kind of old lately in photos that make fans want to, like me, go like, oh my God, he looks old. He doesn't need to wrestle anymore. And it goes with the mystique of the streak gone. Let's see if Taker does come back or not. And if he does come back, it's going to be next week. Because next week, shit should go down. It'll be after Fastlane. And the Multimania should really speed up after next week. So we should see if Taker will wrestle Bray Wyatt or not. He should appear next week. Or at least start the mind games this next week. So there you go. But now, speaking of things that I think will happen at WrestleMania, Gold and Stardust. They have had their issues for the last couple of weeks. Sensing and planting the seeds for the inevitable breakup we've been being teased for the last couple of months and years. But now Goldust retiring, this could be the time for them to split up. And we saw Cody Rhodes walking out on Goldust in the last couple of weeks because he doesn't like being called Cody. Stardust saying that Cody Rhodes is dead. But they had to get Dusty involved. Of course, the father of both Cody and Dustin. Trying to patch things up and trying to win the Eagles in and bring family first and foremost the main focus. And it looked like their problems were settled as Goldust and Stardust teamed up pretty well against the New Day. A team they've never been able to defeat yet because they lost to him at the pre-show back at TLC. But they looked pretty good. We thought they had the differences aside. Good tagging and double team moves looked like they looked like Dusty's encouragement helped a little bit. But then a little miscommunication happened as I thought Goldust was going to win into Stardust, but they avoided the collision. But that distraction enabled Xavier Woods to come in with a big kick and a 1-2-3 victory for the New Day after that miscommunication by Gold and Stardust. Like I said, I thought they had their things worked out, but miscommunication happened. Goldust got kicked in the face. And as Cody Rhodes / Stardust was literally carrying Goldust to the back, the turn came. Crossroads, aka Dark Matter Bang, nailed by Stardust, laying out Goldust. He even confronted Dusty in the back, saying that, Dusty, he didn't call him Dad, I am no longer Cody Rhodes. I've been held back by that name. I'm my own persona now. I am Stardust. Cody Rhodes is dead. And so is my father. And it's more intrigue to add Dusty in the middle of all this. Like, have Dusty involved. It makes it more intriguing. Makes it more personal. to have their own father involved in the storyline, being caught in the middle of all this family squabble between Cody and Dustin, using their real names and all of this, Goldust and Stardust. So it looks like now we're heading towards that brother versus brother match in WrestleMania. Now I've said this a couple of times in my reviews last couple of weeks that we've had a brother versus brother match, like real life, real bloodline brothers. Taker and Kane are not really brothers; they're storyline brothers. But Cody versus Stardust are really brothers, and we had a brother versus brother match about 21 years ago. Bret Hart and Owen Hart, great match in Mania history. And I think Cody and Stardust could have a great match against each other. It'd be a great way for Goldust to go out and to get Cody over. Cody's gone through so much in his young career. Former tag team champion, former IC champion. He's had many personas, but I think the Stardust is working out for him. No matter how silly it is, he makes it work. So there you go with that. Now on to our next scenario. We had two matches involving both competitors in the Fastlane main event. D-Bry and Roman Reigns were the take on in singles competition, Big Show and Kane. A team that they had their problems with last week on Raw. They had their issues. They scrubbed them on SmackDown and tag team turmoil, but their personal problems continued. As we head towards the first match involving our main event competitors at Fastlane, Roman Reigns taking on Kane, with D-Bry at ringside. Now, I have nothing against Roman Reigns. He's a great guy and all. But I think, like I said, sometimes the fans can get fickle. They cheered on Roman Reigns for months. They're like, yeah, Roman Reigns. Now you're hearing the boos. And I even heard tonight, if I'm not mistaken, I heard some fans saying, you can't wrestle. And I heard people saying, yes, he can. Roman Reigns is not the best wrestler in the world. He's an okay performer. He needs to work on his skill a little bit. And his mic skills need some working too. But I don't think it's because of that. I think the fans, I thought they booed Roman Reigns because D-Bry got eliminated too early. I said this last week. I think the fans booed because they really wanted D-Bry to win. D-Bry never really got his rematch. He never really lost the title. He got stripped because of his neck injury. So it makes a whole lot of sense for the fans to rally for D-Bry to get back to the top because he never really lost it. You look at that standpoint, makes sense for the fans to cheer on this guy again. Yes, indeed. I'm a fan of D-Bry, but hey. Give Roman Reigns a shot, man. No one's giving him a fair shot. There's still some cheers, but still. Like, Roman Reigns being shoved down our throats a little bit and him not being ready. A lot of guys weren't ready. Bret Hart and Triple H weren't ready to be champion. Yes, they still became champion. And they became better as they went along as champion. Because if Roman Reigns loses on Sunday to D-Bry, and I love D-Bry and all, but it'll prove that WWE doesn't have faith in Roman Reigns. That they have more faith in the guy who was in the spot last year. And they're going to heed the fans again. And it looked like that. As Roman Reigns was trying to do his best against Kane, D-Bry was at ringside, distracting Roman Reigns with numerous yes chants throughout the match, causing him to lose his focus against Kane for a second. But Roman Reigns tried to do well despite the distractions of D-Bry. Trying to play as a little monkey, doing the yes chants and all that stuff. Reigns did okay against Kane. An okay match against Kane despite his lack of athleticism. He's just a brawler. He just brawls and kicks you. He's just a fighter. He doesn't do much wrestling moves. He did do some more drop downs, but that's like the only real wrestling move I actually saw Reigns did. There was only one move I liked from him. And that's when he sets a guy up in the middle rope and does a one kick from the outside. That's the only cool move I like from Reigns. But then they took it out to the outside. And they had no competition, Reigns and Bryan, yet. But Bryan watched on as Reigns speared the hell out of Big Show outside the ring, causing Reigns to win by countout, laying out Big Show to be counted out. But after Reigns' victory, Bryan stole his thunder again with the yes chant after the match. So there you go. And we would see Roman try to do the same thing during D-Bry's match against Big Show. We'll get to that later. Now on to our next matchup. Summer Rae against Paige. Of course, Paige will take on the Bella Twins. Well, one of them, Nikki, for the Divas Championship this Sunday. I think Paige has finally gotten over when she first got in the company last year. She never really got over as a babyface, then turned heel right away. But I think she's finally finding her own space as a babyface. I think she's finally getting over with the fans. Well, we're in Orlando, NXT territory tonight. So it makes a whole lot of sense for NXT people to get cheered a little bit. Especially Paige, a staple of NXT for a long time. And now with AJ gone, they need a new top babyface. And I think Paige is it. You know, if Paige was trying to go in a match against Summer Rae, she was in the locker room getting ready. But then Bellatrix decided to play a little prank on Miss Paige by stealing her gear, threatening Paige to go out butt naked in the ring. And WWE, trying to make sure they stick to their TVPG rating, made Paige put herself in a precarious position, stealing an outfit from one of the Exotic Express, taking this opportunity and running with it, you know. To quote a famous phrase using Adam Rose's thing, "Don't be a rosebud, don't be a lemon," but I'm using lemon in this. When you have lemons, you make lemonade. And that's exactly what Paige did. Yes, her gear got stolen, but she made the best out of that situation by going out there in a silly outfit, but still wrestling her heart out in a little squasher against Summer Rae. Sending a big message to the Bellas that's saying that I don't care if I have to wear a silly outfit. It's not about the outfit I wear. It's about winning. It's about the heart. It's about the spirit. It's about the fighting power of Paige. And she proved it in this little squasher. Summer Rae didn't do crap. She's just still there getting her butt whipped. With the PTO submission from Paige, getting her the victory. And mouthing down the Bellas outside the ring. As Bellas came out after the match to badmouth Paige. Paige, I don't have to get an outfit to make me feel good. This is the Bellatrix in the materialistic style, should I say. So, there you go with that. Now on to our next matchup. Dolph Ziggler taking on Seth Rollins. Dolph Ziggler's had 2 great matches against Bray Wyatt the last 2 weeks. And I love both these guys. I've said this like a couple weeks ago. If Roman Reigns does end up going on to beat Daniel Bryan and ends up being in a match with Lesnar one-on-one instead of a triple threat as rumored, I'm hearing a lot of rumors they are going to make it a triple threat. I don't know how they're going to do that with a screwy finish at Fastlane, make both guys win, make them both go to a triple threat. Who knows how that's going to come out. But I think Roman Reigns should at least win the title, but then get cashed in on by Rollins. I predicted that during my Royal Rumble review. The night when Rollins, I think, really stepped out and finally earned his position as a main event star in his match against Cena and Lesnar. Great matchup. Great performance from Rollins. And great performance again tonight against Dolph Ziggler. Both these guys, they're great athletic guys. Despite the interference from J&J Security, or as Dolph Ziggler called them, the Hobbits. The Hobbits got thrown out of the match, making it a one-on-one match for most of the time. And it was a great back-and-forth action between both these guys. I wish these guys had more time. You know, they had to start the match on the app. You know, I wish they started it on the air. But it was a great match nonetheless. A great athletic action, great back and forth, great near falls. Great action for both these great young, hungry athletes. Both want the same thing. Both want to be at the top of their game. And they both have a lot in common. They're both Money in the Bank holders. One hasn't cashed in yet, and Dolph has cashed in before. Successfully cashed in for a title against Alberto Del Rio the night after WrestleMania 29, I think. Yeah, WrestleMania 29. They had WrestleMania 29 he cashed in on Alberto Del Rio. Because that was 2015. 2012 was the day after Dan Bryan got screwed in. Sheamus 17 seconds. But anyway, great fun match between both these guys. And going count after counter, great move after move. And Ziggler nailed the zigzag on Mr. Rollins. And just as he's about to get a pinfall victory, he got another victory, a DQ victory, as J&J Security came back out to break the count. Attacking Dolph Ziggler before the count of 3. But then here comes his buddies he's made friends with through Team Cena at Survivor Series. Ryback and Warren to come out to make the save. I smell a 6-man tag at the Fastlane. You know, Rollins doesn't have a match yet, so doesn't Ziggler. So we should have a 6-man tag: Ziggler, Warren, and Ryback against JJ Security and Seth Rollins. The match isn't officially named yet, but should be named soon. We do have the pre-show situation named with Miz TV with Paul Heyman. So there you go with that little scenario. On to the next segment involving Triple H. Of course, talking about his upcoming confrontation with Sting at Fastlane. Of course, we saw Sting play the mind games last week with the fake Stings. One of them was saying that I heard a rumor, but I don't think it's true yet. I haven't heard anything yet. So Triple H is talking about Sting and his mind games. And here comes a big, decent surprise. Ric Flair coming out. A man who knows both Triple H and Sting. Personally and professionally in the ring. And Ric Flair was like, I love you, Triple H. I respect you and all. But don't take Sting lightly. Don't let Sting get into your head. And he's like, I'm WWE. Sting's WCW. We're going to get in the ring and confront each other. Or as I like to call it, I keep referring to this, or as I call it, the tease for the match in WrestleMania 31. Now, I don't want Sting taking my spot. Blah, 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 blah. And Ric Flair's like, I love you, Nate. And it was an interesting scenario to see Triple H and Ric Flair get kind of personal with each other, with some personal stabs. And these two are good friends. In and out of the ring. You know, Triple H did turn heel on Ric Flair before. That was back in 2005 at Raw Homecoming. I remember that. They had a tag team match. Triple H was gone for a while, and Ric Flair came in, and they had a match, and then Triple H attacked him after the match, and led towards a series of matches at Taboo Tuesday, and then Survivor Series that year, in 2005. And Triple H is like, I'm not no Ric Flair. And like, he made some like degrading remarks about Ric Flair, saying that when it comes to ass kicking, Ric Flair's no Triple H. And it led to Triple H shoving down Ric Flair, saying that I'm going to beat Sting. I'm going to face him off at Fastlane. I'm going to beat his ass so bad you never see him again. So, interesting promo. You know, very intriguing promo, putting more hype on the Triple H Sting team without even a Sting appearance. They can still build up with minimum appearances from Sting. Same thing with Lesnar. They can build up a Lesnar fight without much Lesnar appearances. Despite the fact I've been kind of dissing Lesnar's one-at champion about being a part-time champion, blah, 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 blah. I do like the way they're doing it, so there you go. Now, on to the next scenario. Darren Young returned tonight for the first time in about a year. D. Young has been out with a knee injury, so he came back tonight on the pre-show and got challenged by the Ascension to team up with somebody against them. Now, I thought, first things first, we were going to get a PTP reunion. I was like, Darius Young's going to be his tag team partner. It didn't look like it at first, as Steve Young teamed up with a local guy who didn't even get introduced. Just as he was about to get introduced, who I found out later was some guy named Scott Chris. I need to pronounce that name right. The Ascension's music hit right before the Jabba got introduced. And the match didn't really happen. Like, Ascension came in just beating them both down. Like, barely never really rang. It was just a beatdown. Until Titus O'Neil came out to make the save. Taking out both the Ascension. Now, the Ascension looked pretty rough. And they needed to be off their pedestal. They haven't been, like, physically challenged by any team. If you had an old school team like the New Age Outlaws come in, I call it like a new school, old school. A new school team reuniting for the first time in a while. Being, of course, the primetime players. They didn't do the fancy moves yet, but I think they're going to do it eventually. Just one time do the millions of dollars. I love that move. I used to do it with my friends a lot. You know, because I was a big fan of BTP. They're a great team. You know, breaking them up was stupid. And I think they now realize that they were so old with the fans. Slater Gator was a fun team too with Titus O'Neil and Heath Slater, but part-time players is the way to go. I'm glad they're reuniting and giving Ascension a great team to feud with. You know, a legit challenge for the Ascension to get them over. So I'm happy to see part-time players back, and I hope that we don't fuck him up. like the last time. I hope to God they keep them together long and maybe a tag team title one like they should have done the first time. Because it was so over with the fans when they were faces. So let's see them back together. Now on to our next matchup. Bad News Barrett taking on Miz down. Now Miz and B&B had some sort of agreement that Miz would help out B&B from not signing that contract that Dean Ambrose was warming around to try to get him to be the Intercontinental Championship title shot. If B&B could do Miz a favor, beat the crap out of Miz down, continuing the deteriorating relationship. Now we've seen the seeds planted for the big turn as Miz Dow. I bet you Miz Dow's got "We're Not Gonna Take It" by Trista's sister in his head, especially the last couple weeks with Miz distracting him during his match against Sin Cara. Once again, Miz started playing a distracting game. As Miz Dow was, every time Miz Dow had an advantage against Bad News Barrett, Miz would ring his bell and say, "Bell means stomp, shine my shoe, give me my water." You know, because Damien Sandow's no longer his stunt double. He's being, like, demoted to personal assistant. So every time Miz Dow would, get the advantage, he would be forced against his will to do Miz's stuff. Especially when he did Miz's moves. He did the Miz moves. He was setting up the Skull Crusher finale. That's when Miz rang his bell. And then Miz Dow did get his bell won, as he ran into a bullhammer elbow and a 1-2-3 victory for Bad News Barrett with a little help from Miz. Sandow, he wants to have a job. But I think he's going to, like I said, retaliate against Miz. The payoff is coming. It's just a matter of when. But then after the match, here comes Dean Ambrose to come in to attack Bad News Barrett. And Miz did not help B&B to get him from not signing that contract from Dean Ambrose. So Ambrose had a sneaky way of making B&B sign a contract, tying his hands against the ring post and grabbing his hand and making him sign it with his own, it was kind of like, they call it criminal, but still, no matter how you get the signature is still legit. Even if it was Dean Ambrose forcing, and I do mean literally forcing B&B's hand into signing a contract, that signature, no matter how they got that signature, that's not in the record books. That, B&B had to sign his contract because he was forced to do it after his hands were literally tied against ring post by Dean Ambrose. And Ambrose is getting over, so I think, and he's a former U.S. champion, but I think IC Championship's got more prestige than U.S. Championship. Now, I thought Dean Ambrose as U.S. champion, and I'll say this, Dean Ambrose, if you end up being IC champion, defend it more than you fucking did the U.S. Championship. When he was a U.S. champion, he didn't defend it at all. He defended it less often than he should have. He didn't defend shit. But if he becomes IC champion, he should defend the title a lot more often than he did when he was U.S. champion. So, that's my opinion. Well, now he's a babyface now. He was a heel back then. When he was U.S. champion, he was a heel with the Shield. So now he's a babyface. If he does end up being IC champion, whether it's at Fastlane or maybe a rematch at Mania, there's a screwy ending at Fastlane, Dean Ambrose should defend the IC title more. And it's got more prestige, though, than U.S. title does. So there you go with that. Dean Ambrose and B&B official for Fastlane. Speaking of matches at Fastlane, I knew this match would get added, and it is. For the tag team titles, we're going to have a deserving team, a more deserving team than Ascension, a team that I think should get the title around their waist eventually. Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, I love them as a tag team. They're finally getting over well, and they have great chemistry together against the Usos. But before that, we had ourselves a mixed tag match, as Natalya and Tyson Kidd took on Jimmy Uso and Naomi, which meant it was husband and wife versus husband and wife team. And Tyson Kidd kept tagging in Natalya. He didn't want no piece of Jimmy. Every time that Jimmy got in with Tyson, they only wrestled a little bit before. Tyson would hide between his wife's legs, literally, and tag her in. And just the brief moments of Natalya and Naomi proved why NXT divas put on better matches. You know, they were putting on the type of match that NXT divas do. Even though it was only for a short while, it was athletic and it was competitive, like in NXT. If they let WWE divas wrestle like Naomi and Natalya did for that brief second, for that brief 30 seconds, the divas competition would be a whole lot better than the main roster. Because NXT divas, they're allowed to put on competitive matches. I don't mean to put a cheap plug for the network in, but the really good thing about the network is to get it for NXT. Especially the last special, which was awesome. Again, especially the Fatal 4-Way women's match. But it came down to Natalya and Naomi as they went back and forth. As Natalya was setting up the sharpshooter, Naomi countered with a roll-up and a 1-2-3 victory for Naomi. Tyson was mad that he didn't lose the match, and it was Natalya. Is this going to be the way Tyson's going to find that every time he's in trouble, he's going to tag in Cesaro in? He's going to hide behind Cesaro like he hid behind his wife tonight? We'll see what happens Sunday. But I love Cesaro and Tyson's chemistry, and I love their double team moves, and they're a great legit tag team to bring back legitimacy back in the tag team division. And I hope they don't fuck it up. They give them the titles. You know, eventually. I would love it to be this Sunday, but they should be champions one day. Like, there were so many teams that deserved the titles, but never got the shot. BTP, World Scholars, so many great teams that should have been champions and never got the shot. So I hope they don't blow it with Cesaro and Tyson. So there you go. Now on to main event. D-Bry against the Big Show. Now, doing a great match against Big Show is hard work. And I've always said about D-Bry, he's one of the few guys, with CM Punk in there too, when he was in the company, that there were two guys that can have a good match with just about anybody. Even Big Show. And D-Bry tried to. Even with Roman Reigns interfering. Now, like in the Roman Reigns Kane match when D-Bry kept distracting Roman Reigns with a yes chance, Roman Reigns decided to distract D-Bry by laughing every time he was in trouble and distracting him by signing autographs to the fans. Now, storyline distraction or not, it was a cool move for Roman Reigns to do that. You know, just breaking character and signing autographs to the fans and taking selfies with them. I know it's intended to be a storyline distraction, but it's a cool thing to see a superstar like that, you know, do that on camera, sign autographs like that. Especially the way the fans have been booing Roman Reigns lately. You know, like the Cena thing. I have nothing against Cena's character. I don't, like, the person. I don't hate Cena as a person. I just hate his character. Nothing against Roman Reigns as a person. He's a nice guy. You know, he's cousins with The Rock. Come on. You know, I wish he had the charisma of The Rock, but still. He's got a lot to work on. You know, got pushed in a little bit too soon in people's eyes, but hey, let him go through those growing pains as champion, unless they had Rollins cash in. So as Roman Reigns was signing his autographs to the fans, D-Bry got distracted, and Big Show got to take the advantage of that distraction of Roman Reigns distracting D-Bry with the autograph signing. Intentional storyline or not, it was still a cool move for Roman Reigns to do that and take the time and sign autographs to the fans. Even, like I said, if it was part of the storyline mind games to distract D-Bry. But off camera, good move. Especially to try to appease the fans who don't like him. Anyway, after Big Show took advantage of the distractions of Roman Reigns, who sat back down, smiling, smoking again. After D-Bry distracted him, D-Bry got back in the game with his high, big flying moves. You know, the big kicks. He went for like a big move on the top rope at once. Big Show called for chokes. It was a decent match, though. And the ending was pretty good, like I said. The end of Raw was really good to end the show. As Big Show and D-Bry was fighting outside the ring, they brought outside the ring at one point. Big Show rammed Daniel Bryan against Roman Reigns, who was sitting in a chair outside the ring, next to the announce table. So Roman Reigns was knocked out for a temporary second, which gave D-Bry the advantage to get back in the game without any more distractions from Roman Reigns. So as D-Bry got back in the game, he was even setting up the yes lock on Big Show at one point, despite him being large and everything. But after the yes lock got blocked, D-Bry was going for a big move. But then when Reigns got back up, got in the ring, nailed the Superman punch, purposely, intentional or not, got D-By disqualified after the Superman punch to Big Show caused D-By the match. Both guys won screwy ways. D-By lost by DQ, and Roman Reigns won by countout. And D-By was not very happy about Roman Reigns causing his match. And then the brawl started. It was a great way to end Raw. Like I said in the beginning of the video, great brawl. They brawled all over the arena. They brawled in the crowd. They had all the officials come in. It's a sticky situation when you have Bill DeMott, a.k.a. Hugh Morris, and William Regal out there to break them up with all the officials. It's a great way to hype up the pay-per-view and really intensify D-By and Roman Reigns' match a lot more and intensify their feud a lot more. With the brawl, it was a great brawl to end Raw. It was like crazy. They were brawling in the crowd, brawling. It was some great action. So, great way to end Raw, and a decent go-home show. Some would call Fastlane a throwaway show, but Fastlane seemingly was built up to be a decent show, to be the last. It's the last pay-per-view before WrestleMania, so you need to have some sort of hype behind it, and you got so many hype, but a decent hype main event with a title shot at Mania on the line, especially hyping it up more with that great brawl to end Raw. D-By and Roman Reigns is duking it out. I'm looking forward to the match on Sunday, no matter the outcome. And Cena against Rusev's building up pretty well, despite it being a Cena match. But still, I think they'll do a good match, despite Super Cena. But still, pretty interesting. Tag team title match. Looking forward to that match with Cesaro and Tyson Kidd deservingly getting a tag team title shot. Naomi's husband getting there, so see how they do. Usos against Tyson and them. We have Paige against Nikki for the Divas Championship. Bayley Barrett against Dean Ambrose for the IC Championship, officially named tonight. We may have Ascension against Primetime Players added after the competition tonight with the PTP reunion. And maybe that six-man tag I alluded to with Team Authority, JJ Security, and Seth Rollins against Ziggler, Ryback, and Warren, unless they have it on SmackDown. But they're not, because I think they're having a proper rematch against Ziggler and Rollins at SmackDown. They should have had it at the pay-per-view, but they're probably going to have a six-man instead, with JJ Security ball from the ring in the rematch on SmackDown. So there you go. Decent, fun, go-home Raw, and that is it for the review for this Raw. Thank you all very much for watching. With that in mind, y'all been attacked by the review from Zach. See y'all later. Yeah.